Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for August 23rd, 2012. It is Thursday and it is currently 7:21 a.m. And we're dealing with generally tranquil weather conditions once again throughout the entire northern mid-Atlantic, the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area, of course. We do have some fog over portions of northwestern and northern New Jersey, reducing visibility anywhere between 2 to 4 miles. Really, it's not really all that dense of a fog out there, and that fog is going to be lifting by 10 a.m., leading to scattered cloud cover for most of the northern Atlantic. Temperatures are ranging from the mid to upper 50s over the interior and lower 60s along the immediate coast. Let's take a look at the infrared satellite picture. You can see high pressure is centered over central Pennsylvania. That high pressure system will slowly shift towards the Canadian Maritimes over the next several days. Meanwhile, we have plenty of moisture lingering along the southeast coast with a stationary front over portions of North and South Carolina. Now, what I'm expecting over the next several days is high pressure to remain in control, but we have these little pesky disturbances moving from southwest to northeast, especially right along the coast, that could produce an isolated shower here or there. But for the most part, most locations will remain dry. The problem with these showers is that they won't move all that fast, and so if you end up being over one for an hour or two, you'll end up having a rather rainy day, while the rest of the northern Atlantic will experience tranquil, comfortable weather conditions with scattered cloud cover. So that's pretty much the name of the game over the next several days. High pressure and control for the most part, but if you're unlucky enough to fall under one of these isolated showers, the day won't be all that great. Now, the good news is that humidity will remain low for the most part, aside from being outside one of those showers. And temperatures are going to remain near normal in the upper 70s to mid 80s. No signs whatsoever of any potential for lower 90s at all, meaning that we're slowly transitioning to more of a fall weather pattern. Taking a look at the water vapor satellite picture, you can see a nice trough starting to really become established over the eastern United States. We have a rather interesting disturbance starting to organize itself over portions of the Florida Panhandle, and that's going to have some important influences on the tropics. I'm going to discuss that in a moment. But you can see the moisture plume setting up over the eastern Gulf of Mexico and shooting right up the east coast, keeping the threat of an isolated shower here or there. But for the most part, again, dry conditions can be expected for 99% of the region. So let's drop down to the tropics because everyone's talking about it. We have two tropical systems to keep an eye on. This is Tropical Depression 10, and this is Tropical Storm Isaac. Now, Isaac here is, well, it's not the most organized tropical system right now. We have our low-level circulation right around here, and we are dealing with a little bit of dry air, especially on the southwest side of this low-pressure system. And that's impeding the intensification and development of Isaac. It's also forced a redevelopment of the low level circulation a little bit further south, and that is going to have some impacts on the forecast track. Now, there's some who are running around saying Isaac could move up the coast and impact New York City and the northern Atlantic. Now, while there is potential for some impacts in the phase of rain, I do not expect a landfall from this tropical storm like what we saw last year with Ivan. And the reason why is because the atmospheric pattern is completely different, and besides the fact that this storm is continuing to move to the west, and if anything, jogged more to the southwest than to the northwest over the past couple of hours. So what is going to control these two tropical systems as far as the direction and potential intensification? Well, let's go back to the water vapor satellite picture. Now, this is the water vapor satellite picture of all of North America here, or should I say the Western Atlantic and portions of North America. Anyway, we have a trough here, right? Now, this trough is intensifying, is digging south, and that means we're going to have southwesterly winds ahead of it, which is right here. Here's Tropical Storm Isaac, and here's Tropical Depression 10. Now, what I'm expecting to develop here is that both of these systems are going to move into a little bit more favorable conditions as far as development. And that's going to allow our tropical depression to potentially become a weak tropical storm, and Isaac to intensify into a hurricane, likely just to the south of Haiti before moving to the northwest. Now, what should happen, what I'm expecting to happen, is that this trough is going to pick up these two tropical systems. So Isaac moves towards Haiti, cuts through Cuba, head towards Florida, and then recurve over the coastal waters of basically western Florida and the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Now, this type of track, unfortunately, is going to lead to a rather wet Republican National Convention from Monday to Tuesday. But it also means that the potential for this system to cut up the coast like that, is, well, just becoming less and less likely. It's moving too far to the south right now and still continuing on to the west. And the position of this trough and the position of this tropical storm leads me to believe that eventually you'll end up with a track that cuts through southern Florida, over the coastal waters of western Florida, and then up the east coast as a rather impressive rainstorm. Meanwhile, Tropical Depression 10, well, that's going to continue to chug along at west-northwest, right under the influence of this building ridge, and then that too will also recurve out into the northern Atlantic because of this deep trough. So as you can see, really, the northern Mid-Atlantic is going to be protected from a direct impact from either one of these tropical systems, but this tropical storm is going to have to be watched as it's approaching Florida and curves up the east coast as a pretty impressive rainstorm potentially for the end of next week. So let's go to the model guidance here. Using the GFS model guidance from the Penn State EWOL website, I like this model guidance because I think it's handling the overall structure of both of these tropical systems the best, and also there's pretty strong agreement between the GFS, European, and Canadian model guidance, pretty much all the model guidance, as to the overall 500 millibar picture that we're setting up here. So here we are for this afternoon. Again, high pressure is in control, but notice we have these little disturbances moving through. It's going to keep us at a threat for an isolated shower here and there. Same thing for this evening. Again, most locations remain dry, but you're still going to be under the threat for an isolated shower, and the isolated shower could produce a heavy downpour every so often. Less of a chance in the evening hours with more stable air masses in place. Heading in for tomorrow, again, same setup, high pressures in control. Now notice the high pressure system starting to shift towards the Canadian Maritimes and towards Maine, starting to redevelop. We start to develop signs of a weak backdoor cold front developing because of the shift of that high pressure system. By Saturday, again, we're going to have a little bit more lifting because our backdoor cold front starts to set up as our high pressure system sets up over the Canadian Maritimes. That means we're going to start to see more of an easterly wind set up off the coast. And when you have an easterly wind coming off of an ocean, like the Atlantic Ocean, you end up with the potential for a few more isolated showers. Now, Saturday, I'm keeping it a little bit more dry because I think there's going to be a little bit more dry air focused over the northern Mid-Atlantic and more moisture focused over the southern Mid-Atlantic. So I'm keeping conditions dry for Saturday at this time. However, by Sunday, I think there's going to be a better potential for scattered showers in place over the northern Mid-Atlantic. So if you have any plans for the weekend, I'd focus more on Saturday and less on Sunday, with more cloud cover and a better potential for scattered showers on Sunday. Meanwhile, here comes our tropical storm. Now, if it does move over Haiti and then Cuba, I expect it to be a rather disorganized tropical storm at this point. And then, as we move on through Monday, here comes our tropical storm, Isaac. Could be a hurricane by this point. We're going to, again, keep an eye on just what happens to Isaac as it's moving over portions of Haiti and Cuba. It might actually just fall apart. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. It's going to be a rather volatile weather pattern, that is for sure, for southern Florida. So if you have any plans down there, I'd prepare for, at the very least, some heavy rain and some strong winds. As far as the northern Mid-Atlantic is concerned, we continue to remain under the influence of high pressure with a chance of an isolated shower here or there. Moving on through next week, a cold front will approach by Tuesday evening. I'm keeping the cloud cover more scattered in nature. I don't like the idea of scattered showers at this time because the majority of the lifting is focused more up in Canada. But again, we're going to keep an eye for an isolated shower here or there. And then moving on through Wednesday, again, we're going to start to see our cold front disintegrate, our tropical system make landfall over portions of the southeast, and then we're going to have to see exactly how far north this tropical low pressure gets. By the time it reaches the mid-Atlantic region, let's say Virginia, it will likely just be a tropical depression or just a remnant low. Not produce much in the way of strong winds, but certainly plenty of heavy rain to keep an eye on for the Piedmont and portions north and west. Now, as this tropical system moves north, the moisture will move out ahead of it, and that's going to lead to potential for a heavy rain event for Thursday and Friday of next week. Something to keep an eye on as we move forward in time. As far as temperatures throughout this entire forecast period, temperatures will basically remain near normal with low temperatures in the mid to upper 50s over the interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast. At times, only in the upper 60s in portions of the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area. Now, as far as highs, looking for upper 70s to mid 80s. Mid 80s to best potential in your urban locations. That is your forecast for today. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. You can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.